Welcome to Everyday Counseling, a podcast about understanding emotional patterns as they show up in everyday life. When you begin to change and others don't immediately adjust, something internal often happens. The discomfort isn't just external, it moves inward. In the last episode, we explored how dynamics shift when you step out of a familiar role. Now, we're looking at what it feels like to hold that change when there's pushback, confusion, or subtle pressure to return to how things were. This stage is quieter than conflict, but it can feel heavier. You might notice it when a parent comments that you seem distant because you're no longer absorbing every concern, or when a sibling hints that you've changed because you're no longer mediating, or when a friend seems unsettled because you're setting clearer limits than before. In long-term partnerships, the adjustment can feel even more exposed. If you've always been the one who anticipates needs and you begin waiting to be asked, the silence can feel charged. Not dramatic, just unfamiliar. The internal response to this is often doubt. You may question whether the shift was necessary, whether you're being unfair, whether you're overreacting. The questioning isn't weakness. It's a natural response to tension in familiar bonds. Change disrupts predictability and predictability. Let me try to get that word out. And predictability feels safe. When you alter your part in a dynamic, you're not only changing behavior, you're shifting expectations that have been existing for years, sometimes decades. That kind of shift takes emotional steadiness. You might notice the urge to smooth things over quickly, to explain yourself repeatedly, to revert to the old role just to restore ease. The relief is immediate. When you do, the room settles. The conversation flows more comfortably. But afterwards, you may feel the same quiet frustration that led you to change in the first place. This is the tension point. Holding your change doesn't mean becoming rigid or defensive. It means allowing others time to recalibrate without abandoning the adjustment that you're making. For example, if you decided not to take on every responsibility in your extended family, there may be a period where things feel less organized. That doesn't mean the change was wrong. It means others are stepping into space that used to be filled automatically. If you've started speaking more directly after years of staying quiet, there may be moments of surprise, tone shifts, pauses, not because you're wrong, but because the rhythm has been altered. Even friendships, when you begin sharing more of your own perception instead of primarily listening, the balance changes. Some friendships deepen, others feel strained for a while. It's tempting to interpret resistance as rejection. Often, it's simply adjustment. Every dynamic seeks stability. When one part shifts, the system looks for equilibrium again. That equilibrium may take time to settle. Internally, this can feel uncomfortable. You may oscillate between confidence and uncertainty, between clarity and second guessing. That fluctuation is part of growth. Many adults in their 30s, 40s, and 50s experience this quietly. They're not reinventing themselves, they're refining, reducing the overextension, speaking more clearly, expecting more balance. But refinement requires consistency. If the new behavior appears once and disappears under pressure, the old pattern resumes easily. If it appears repeatedly, even gently, the system updates. Over time, others adjust, not always quickly, not always smoothly, but predictability forms around the new version of you. And something important happens internally as well. The steadiness of holding your change builds trust in yourself. Not loud confidence, not dramatic transformation, just a sense that you can remain aligned even when things feel slightly unsettled. In the next episode, we'll look at what happens when the steadiness becomes normal and how long-term dynamics begin to reorganize once change is no longer temporary but consistent.